I am Jacob. This is my camera. It's a cheap, crappy little mini DV camcorder that I got as a gift when I was 16. According to Wikipedia, in 1995, the leading producers of camcorders developed the codec for DV. Mini DVs are these little tapes that are like a lot of older magnetic tapes, such as Hi-8 and VHS, but it works with digital devices rather than analog. So if I shoot video of something with this cheap, crappy little camcorder, I then plug my camera into my old, crappy desktop via a FireWire cable, and I transfer the video from the tape to a computer file. Technological magic. An alchemy of sorts, as I can turn real-life happenings into images trapped on a tape in my camera, and then turn those trapped images into computer files, and then untrap those images by burning a DVD or putting a video on YouTube. We've come a long way since the Lumiere brothers invented the cinematograph, and Edison stole their invention. While film still has its place, digital video is a lot easier and more affordable, so even a rank amateur like me can make a movie. I had played around with cameras in my childhood. I worked on a school TV news program in 4th and 5th grade, and any time somebody in my family would let me play with a camera, I'd abuse the privilege. After a religious experience while watching Kill Bill, I decided that I wanted to be a filmmaker. So, I asked my grandmother for a camera. It had to be affordable, which unfortunately at the time meant that it had to be not so awesome a piece of equipment. It doesn't even have a mic input, so I had to just speak into the camera to get clearer audio. Despite my past experience, I had no idea how to make full use of the camera, and I relied simply on the tried and true practice of setting the camera to A, pointing and hitting rec. For a while, I just occasionally played around with the camera. I didn't bother to actually do any sort of editing or uploading until after I had shot some footage of a nerd convention. When I decided that I wanted to put a video on YouTube, I went to plug my camera into my computer. I repeatedly attempted to force the non-camera end of the cord into a USB port. A trip to Best Buy taught me that I needed a FireWire port. Well, it turned out that I also needed some sort of editing software. Fortunately, my father quickly provided me with a legally downloaded copy of Adobe Premiere 6.5. When I finally got everything set up, I realized that I didn't know how to edit. Through trial and error, I managed to learn enough about shooting and editing with my own camera and software to make some home movies and get through my IB film class. The real test came when I decided to shoot an independent feature-length movie the summer after my freshman year at UCF. When I started writing the script, I had no idea what a screenplay was supposed to look like. I had to learn how to write, how to direct, and how to edit. I was still learning even as I was shooting, and I continued to learn as I was putting the footage together. By the end of it all, Velschmears was a no-budget, angsty flick that I never bothered to submit to any film festivals because I thought it just wasn't good enough. As a film student at UCF, I have worked on various short films. Though I have taken many film classes, none of these has actually done much in the way of teaching me how to make a video. I've been taught repeatedly how to write something, but not really how to shoot or edit. So what little literacy I have in those aspects has been primarily self-taught. It was like learning how to read with little help or teaching, just by associating abstract symbols with familiar images. I've directed some very small projects and acted in and worked on some larger ones. I've seen people use a lot better equipment than what I can afford to get my hands on. While in a country like America, there is a lot of access to stuff like cameras and software because these items are widely available and are relatively affordable, especially when one considers how there are more cameras at lower prices now than there were before by far. There are still issues of access. The poorest of American citizens are certainly unable to communicate via video because if you are worried about food and shelter, you won't be able to buy a camera or a computer. While I'm not that poor, I don't have a stable income, and I am not so productive that I think I could justify spending hundreds of dollars on a better camera or better editing software, or even a better computer with which to edit videos. In my case, it's certainly a first world problem, but when I do want to produce art, it becomes more difficult for me because I don't have the same degree of access as some others do. And it has shamed me to a point where I feel dejected and don't want to bother making my own movies. Lately, however, I have been feeling re-inspired and reinvigorated. I met the great comic book writer-artist David Mack, and he and his work have inspired me to get back to being creative. And now I'm using this assignment as a sort of fire under my ass, jump-starting my return to making videos. I still can't make my software do transitions like fades, irises, or wipes, or make a decent title card. I still only use a simplistic, free scripting software. I still only have the cheap, crappy little camcorder. But, god damn it, I love making this stuff. Video is an amazing medium. There are so few restrictions. While a video isn't really good for a sort of random access method of viewing, I can certainly play with time, like showing this, the last image of the video, before we actually get to the end of the video. And as you've seen throughout this video, I can shoot things at two completely different times and put them together in the same piece. I can have multiple audio tracks going. I can use text and still images in addition to the moving images, which are not actually moving, of course, but are merely a lot of still images being shown in quick succession. And I can then put it on a site like YouTube and share with anybody who wants to see it. YouTube is an amazing example of social communication with video. With more content on one website than has ever been on major television networks, the site has allowed anyone with enough technological access and literacy to share their trapped and then untrapped images with anyone else who can access that website. Even if the content lacks a sense of quality, even if what somebody has to say isn't worthwhile, they still can say it to a lot of people. And people can respond by posting comments, sending messages, or making their own video responses. If communication is the sharing of any sort of information, then YouTube is certainly revolutionary in a social sense, as it has enabled a lot more communication through one particular medium. Like I said, technological magic. It's truly amazing to me. Now, enjoy some silence and this quote. That guy probably knew what he was talking about. So, I'm going to do my best to get back to being creative, and working with this medium that I love so much. Hopefully I'll become more literate in the process.